Hi, everyone. I think, sorry, we had a technical challenge on this end, just trying to find all the right panels, but I believe that we're online and that everything is in place. So we hope that you're doing well. We are just waiting a few minutes for some people to arrive and to join us, but we should be good to go very shortly. Chat soon. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. We are going to kick off now, and thanks so much for taking the time to tune into our session to invite and to have with us some really fantastic speakers and some really smart people to join us with the team. And as you know, with these Digital Lab webinars, what we do is we try and build up a bit of a combination of some insight that we can bring to you, where we primarily focus on sort of CRM and data-driven marketing. But then we also try to bring in some insights from partners and from people that we've bumped into along the way that really have knowledge to be able to share with you. And that's really what today is about, is to be able to take, particularly with our partnership with Google Travel, some of the insights that's come from then with Vincenzo, and then also to share with you some really fantastic insight from a new friend of the family, Morongwa, who comes from SA Tourism, who I had the privilege of hearing speak at another conference earlier this year. And so really excited to see what they bring to the table. There are always in the room at different points. There are always in the room some new people to our fold. And so just to introduce who we are, we have this very short video clip for you to give you a bit of an idea of what we're about.
People. What remarkably extraordinary creatures we are. We can feel the full spectrum of emotions in one day. We have the potential to make things beautiful and stand strong for what we believe in. We're passionate, curious about the unknown. We evolve and reinvent ourselves. Driven by the desire to connect, we've built a digital world. The global village brought people closer together than ever before, offering a new environment to do business on. But what does it take to survive in this world? Simply put, you need to understand the person on the other side of the phone, as well as the phone itself, creating a unique middle point where people and technology meet. That's where you'll find DigitLab. Through technology, we find ways to make people's lives better and thrive on challenging what's possible. Coming from different backgrounds, our team brings fresh perspective and dynamic thinking. With us, you get a partner that's just as invested in your success as you are. Sure, you could do things the way you have been, but we've got a feeling that doesn't sit well with you, just like it doesn't sit well with us. So, let's stop calling things impossible and start making history.
So there you have it, just a little bit about who we are and what really inspires us and gets our juices flowing. And in a nutshell, just for those who like a bit more detail in terms of what that really means, is at the end of the day, we use CRM, data, content, automation, all of these wonderful things to really help simplify marketing and operations and sales and operations to foster better customer relationships with our clients and their customers. And so that's, in a nutshell, who we are and what we do. And there's a really exciting project that we started last year and that we've committed to doing on an annual basis, called Insight 2012. Well, last year's was Insight 2024, and going forward will obviously change year by year. But this Insight project that we put together is really built around the idea of understanding the digital landscape across businesses, not just purely from a digital sort of like social media perspective and just trying to understand like how people are using these channels, but really to understand it from a business perspective. What are the return on investment channels? How are people really using these things? What are people really gaining value out of? And how does this fit around the different size of businesses, the different industries, and how people are impacting? And so we're really excited about this survey. Last year, it gave us some really great results. We had over 120 businesses that were surveyed, and we also were able to attract attention from about 20-odd top trend analysts and experts and thought leaders from around the globe who contributed into this paper as well. So over 150 pages worth of deep insight and beautifully designed and crafted survey paper that's available for download, and Natasha will be sharing those links with you in the chat as we go through, but it's also available for download on our website if you want to get hold of it there. So what I wanted to tee up, because of the survey that we've been doing, and something that's so important as a discussion as we start to talk about marketing and as we talk about the tourism industry and things that are taking place, is that there's some really powerful data-driven marketing things that are taking place when we look at this particular industry sector. And the first is really to dive into this particular graph where we see that businesses primarily with higher revenues on average are showing a lower data maturity than their smaller counterparts. And this is so fascinating that bigger businesses tend to be more complex, and so they're struggling with, particularly at the moment, are struggling with being more data mature. And it's the smaller businesses that are able to sort of fast track their development in this space. And so what you're seeing in the red line is a small business is sort of data maturity, and you can see it growing. The one that I always find fascinating is this one just to the bottom corner over here, this data savvy piece in here. Now, if you were to segment that data across business size, what's very, very particularly interesting here is that we call them marlins, but and we segment them by dolphins, whales, and marlins and whales. So small businesses are the dolphins, and marlins are your mid-sized businesses, and your whales are your bigger enterprises. And your marlins, especially your upper end marlins that are sort of just below that enterprise space, that 100 million marker per year, those businesses are incredibly data aware, data savvy. And that data savviness should be a major, major concern for larger enterprises in business. And we see this in every single sector. So in the tourism sector, we really do see that businesses that really have a strong handle on their data, businesses that are using technology that has a strong handle on their data, are really starting to show a massive sort of high opportunity for return on investments that are great, and being able to sort of knock the competitors out of the market. And this is a space that in tourism we generally don't lean on very, very well. And so it's really a space that I think we can be looking at a lot more than we do right now. And so people often ask us, like, practically, where should we be focused? And so what we're trying to do here is just understand the different types of technologies that people are applying into their businesses and what's adding the most value and what isn't. And so we found that marketing automation, so automating your marketing infrastructures across businesses, At the moment, we're seeing less than 50% of businesses adopting this type of technology across our surveyed group, and most of them aren't really seeing huge success rates in it, which it isn't really a testament of the fact of marketing automation not being really strong. Globally, marketing automation is one of the main reasons why businesses are succeeding. It's really just not understanding this market at the moment and showing an indication of the savviness of how we're handling data and the impact of that right now. Social media management is by far one of the main tools, and people see it as like literally a necessary tool in business right now. 36% success rate across the board. And just to the side of that, you'll see email marketing being ranked as the top implemented email marketing tool, with also the highest success rates from a effectiveness point of view on return on investment. CRM systems are primarily seen as relatively highly successful at 22%. But what we're seeing here is that the bigger the business, the more advanced the CRM systems are becoming. And if you look at CRM technology is becoming more about what you do with that data, not so much just about how you house it and look after it. And so this particular space for CRM is becoming a really exciting industry, and I think there's a lot for us to look at. What was really fascinating is what was potentially something where we thought, we're not even going to put this into the survey, but we put it in anyway. And email signature software and how it's used in the businesses, especially centralized email signature software that can be managed by brand managers. There's a 39% implementation rate across businesses. So roughly 40% of businesses that we surveyed were implementing these email signature tools or marketing. And the success rate is right up there at 28%, which is almost as high as what we're seeing in social media management and these types of return on investments, which is really fascinating, because when we talk about email marketing, we talk about business email and all that, we tend to think that it's a space that doesn't have very high return on investment. And yet the statistics are showing us that we're seeing something completely different. And so from a data perspective, the channels that we generally see performing well are often the ones that we don't think are going to perform well, because we always assume that it's the more innovative ones that are going to perform well. And so I always find this fascinating when we look into the trends that are taking place in business. And so as we dig into more data with Morongwa and with Vincenzo going forward, I think it's really important to understand that we need to approach all of this stuff with a very open mind and not use data to reinforce our existing thoughts, but rather to use data to open up our minds around what new opportunities might exist. And so with that in mind, let's jump into some really specific information around the travel industry and get to our speakers who really have a lot to add to this conversation. So as I said, I bumped into Morongwa a few months ago at a conference that she was presenting at, and the data that she had on her conference was really I really found to be incredibly interesting. And so I asked her if she would take the time to come and present that information to us, to which she was very gracious and saying that she would do so. And so she's going to share a screen now and put that chat out there and see and share some of her presentation with us. But Morongwa, welcome to our webinar on travel. And we're really excited about the data that you're in. Thank you so much for coming through and for representing SA Tourism here at this event. We know that things are really, really busy on your side. And so we really appreciate you taking some time out. You guys are in the middle of Meetings Africa, which I know is a massive piece in your agenda for the year. So thank you very much for taking the time out. And just a note for those that are attending, if you do have any questions for Morongwa, the time to ask that would be directly after her presentation, because she will have to duck in the middle of this presentation to head into some other materials around some of the other agendas that she needs to meet before the end of the day. So if you do have any questions, please fire them across into the chat and I'll be able to facilitate that discussion at the end. Morongwa, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Mike. Good morning, everybody. As per introduction, my name is Morongwa Moraladi. I'm Regional Insight Specialist for the South African Tourism. So I'm going to be just walking you through the tourism performance, how tourism has been doing in the past couple of years, also with the effects of COVID, and what we can look forward to in terms of what tourism can look like in the future. So first things first, just in terms of where we come from, what 2019 was like, and what we can expect now going forward. In 2019, we had reached a milestone of 1.5 billion outbound travel. And the expectation was that the next year, which was 2020, that travel would grow by between 3 to 4%, according to the UNWTO. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And what then happened was that the travel had to come to a stop, and it went down by about 72%. However, gradually it went up with time, and at some point it was 400 million picking up, and then it kept going up again. And so now quickly looking at the picture that is 2023, when you look at 2023, UNWTO also said in the section of the year that then travel was going to grow between 95% and 80%. So in terms of the close, then it closed at 88%. So that's what we're looking at. Just also given what some of the forecasts were from different sources, a lot of different sources were saying that we're likely to recover in 2025 and 2026. We saw that there were a lot of challenges that came through that actually informed why the forecasts were saying that the recovery would be between 2025 and 2026. So one of them is the Ukraine and Russia invasion that did happen, and that there was also the fuel price that was affected so badly that then also was taken into consideration. There was the hyperinflation that a lot of countries were facing at the time. And those are some of the things that were informing why the predictions or the forecasts were saying that we would recover much, much later. And also that tourism was also one of those sectors that was very slow in terms of adopting technology vis-a-vis other sectors that recovered quite fast. So some sectors recovered already in 2022 and some already to 2023 compared to 2019 figures. And then just looking at how the regions did, we saw that the Middle East actually went all ahead and then recovered and then went over and above. So it recovered by 22% already. And then after that was Europe, and then Africa was sitting at also just 96% recovery compared to 2019. However, let's have another look at Africa and what that looked like. So when you look at Africa, we can see that the recovery was actually driven by North Africa. So North Africa is a lot closer to a lot of other countries, so it's a short-haul destination. And also in terms of connections to flights and etc., it's much more easier for people to connect to get to the northern side of Africa. When you look at the Sub-Sahara, we closed at 93, which means that we still were lagging slightly behind. And that also just speaks to some of the challenges within the Sub-Saharan Africa. And that's why we closed at 93. Then I thought it would be also a good idea for us to look at South Africa and how South Africa did. So in 2019, we had 10 million arrivals coming to the country. And with those 10 million arrivals, we were doing quite well. We had thought that would grow. In fact, there was talks that we would probably be looking at 21 million by the end of 2030. But then COVID happened, so then all of that had to come into revision. So then looking at how we are likely to do going forward again, we are now sitting at 8.4 million, and which just means that we are likely to fully recover by 2024. In terms of the regions, we're seeing that we did quite well in the Americas compared to 2022. However, we're sitting at 81% to 2019, and Europe was sitting at 80% to 2019. Africa Air and Africa Land. So when you combine Africa Air and Africa Land, They both contribute to 75% of arrivals to the country because they are in the region. And when you look at Europe, which is 15% of all arrivals into the country, that one is sitting at 80% to 2019. The Middle East again actually reached 100% of their 2019 figures. However, because China only opened in 2019, it only opened in 2023 Jan. So because of that and because of the size of China, then the region that is Asia, Australasia, and Middle East is slightly behind, with sitting at 73%. And that's primarily because of China. But again, the interesting thing that we're seeing is that China is now growing at triple-digit growth because now of what is called revenge travel. They are traveling a lot more because they had been closed for a while. And then the other thing was just to look at then capacity, what that looks like. And the reason this slide is interesting and it's worth looking at is because when 2019 happened, a lot of airlines stopped flying to South Africa and back and forth. And because of that, now there's still a shortage in terms of the airlines that are available. And then that has also affected capacity. So with that being the case, we're also monitoring what then capacity looks like coming from the different parts of the regions. In South African tourism, we are actually present in about 10 markets. And that means that we have offices in those markets. We call them, we have a hub and spoke model that we use, where even though we have offices in those markets, we then have other markets that are closer to those hubs that we support or that we have a presence in. So for instance, we would have an office in the UK, and then we would also have a spoke that is Ireland, or have a market in Germany and have a spoke that is Austria and Switzerland. We have something that's called the Marketing Investment Framework, wherein we did a very rigorous work and we did a lot of due diligence to understand where we would get the most return on investment in terms of being in those countries and what their outbound potential look like and what it would look like for South Africa as well. And so that's why we're looking at capacity in terms of what we are looking at. So just in terms of the breakdown, we're seeing that capacity is increasing. So airlines are coming through. There are a lot of bilateral agreements that are coming through where a lot of airlines are partnering. And so we should be seeing capacity also increasing over time. Then also just another look at what the provinces are performing like. So we're seeing that Cape Town and KZN did quite well in terms of increasing their capacity. Cape Town also has a lot of seasonal airlines that come in for a while when there's peak season, and then they would stop when it's not as busy. So that's why we're seeing that has also. So those are the numbers that have contributed to the increase in Cape Town, for instance. And there was also the introduction of Mpumalanga because a lot of tourists wanted to fly directly to Mpumalanga as opposed to connecting from Gauteng to Mpumalanga. And that has seen great success by introducing the direct flights from other countries directly to Mpumalanga. So now that we've looked at what the past looked like, we can look at what the forecast looks like going ahead. Globally, by 2024, we will reach 1.5 billion outbound travel. So it means that there will be about 1.5 people traveling around the world. And that would mean that it's reached the 2019 or pre-COVID-19 levels. And then when we look at Africa, to be specific, we would have reached 43 million. But then in that 43 million, again, a bulk of it still means that North Africa is the one that is going to reach that number before sub-Saharan Africa. Again, I just want to add some of the reasons are, again, going back to the open skies. We don't have open skies as sub-Saharan Africa, and that's part of the reason. And then some of the countries in the sub-Saharan Africa are long-haul destinations. When it comes to long-haul destination, it does become a different conversation as opposed to when you look at North Africa, which is a lot closer to the European countries. The Middle East will be sitting at 64 million by 2024. That is what is estimated. And then when you look at Asia Pacific, it won't reach pre-pandemic levels by 2024, but it will reach it by 2025, sitting at 387 million. So that is outbound, going out. And then the Americas will be sitting at 247 million by 2024, outbound. In terms of the inbound, when you look at the little table at the bottom, in terms of then what would be coming into the different countries, most regions again are showing that they will be recovering quite well, and they will reach their pre-pandemic figures by 2024, save for Asia Pacific and Africa. Again, when we look at Africa's, the specifics of Africa, we're seeing that by 2024, North America would have reached 40 million inbound. It would have attracted 40 million tourists into that part of the continent. And then sub-Saharan Africa would have reached 43 million. However, it will still be lagging behind because in 2019, the sub-Saharan Africa had reached 46 million inbound. For South Africa, we will reach 2019 figures by getting to the 10 million, as I'd shown earlier, and then on, then we will continue to see growth. So there are a lot of other barriers that obviously are coming in the way of the continent or the sub-Saharan region, as well as South Africa reaching some of the goals that it would like to reach. But here I'm just showing what are some of the solutions that could possibly just help in terms of the continent reaching its potential, because the continent is not reaching its potential in terms of the number of tourists or the number of arrivals that it could actually be reaching. So part of those is that there are regulatory backlogs that are there that need to be eased so that there is more foreign direct investment that is coming through. And through the introduction of foreign direct investment, there will be more partnerships that come through. And then we'll see a lot of airlines also coming through that will help our economies grow in the sub-Saharan Africa. Because currently what we're sitting with 3 key connection hubs, which is Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa. The reason it's very important that there is an expansion in that, for instance, in some other part of the work that I do, we deal a lot with business events. And when we talk to delegates and we are asking them about coming through to the country, they will mention connectivity as one of the possible deterrents from coming through. But one of those things is that then price is an issue, because there isn't as many airlines that are available, then price becomes an issue. The more competition that is there from an airline point of view, the more people are able to choose the type of flights that they want, and obviously then the price will be much more favorable to tourists, as opposed to when there is limited flights to a destination. Then another issue that becomes a deterrent is that there are visa constraints that are available even just in the continent itself. So we're seeing that there isn't a lot of intercontinental travel that we would like to obviously see being introduced in the continent, or rather even in the sub-Saharan part of the continent. However, there are certain African countries that have started relaxing a lot of visas. We have seen that Rwanda has said that they no longer require visas. We are seeing that Kenya also is doing the same. So in the beginning of 2023, Kenya and South Africa also had bilateral visa-free agreements. And then later in the year, around June, we saw that Ghana and South Africa also did that. And since that happened, we saw that Kenya numbers actually went really high because they no longer require visas to come to South Africa. So some of those things are the things that actually make it easy to see the numbers grow, but as well as what I've mentioned, that there needs to be a lot of easing of regulations within the different jurisdictions or the different countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, that more investment can come through, more airlines can come through, so that Africans do not need to fly from their country, fly to another continent, and then fly back to another country in Africa, because that is still the case. again, when you're seeing some of the developments that I just want to speak to again in the region, there's a lot that Rwanda is doing. They have spoken to the likes of your Qatar and your Emirates, so they're doing a lot of movements. We're seeing that they have about 26 routes that they now have, even via their own airline called Rwanda Air. When you look at South Africa, we have over 100 active routes and working on increasing those routes. So we are flying in between 63 cities and 41 countries, but that number still needs to increase so that we can see more and more of arrivals coming into the country. So currently, just wanted to point out that tourism contributes to just under 10% of the GDP of South Africa. But with more of this happening, that will translate obviously to a bigger GDP contribution, and that will also translate into jobs. The one thing that makes tourism very important is that it is one of those sectors that is able to absorb in the labor categories, the lower labor categories, so more of the unskilled, more of the informal, and in that turn also just being a greater contributor to job creation. This brings me to the end of my my presentation. Thank you so much.
There, yeah. So thanks a lot, Morongwa. That is that there's a lot packed into that presentation. I found it quite interesting. So your projections, I mean, a lot of guys were saying 2024. So this year would have been the bounce back, and then you've shown that the different scenarios in your graph to show kind of why it's taking a bit longer in that. But it's interesting to see that you sort of if I'm right and my memory is serving me correctly, but Asia and Europe are bouncing back a lot faster than the other regions, particularly. And I'm assuming that's proximity driven primarily. Is that the main criteria that's pushing this is proximity? And if so, how come Africa is not pushing up as fast?
Right. Middle East is the one that has reached and surpassed the 2019 numbers. Europe is doing quite well from outbound as well as an inbound. Again, when you look at Europe, they have about 80% of their travel is regional. So they're flying between Germany, Spain. So they are now coming out of their winter into their summer. They're looking at your sun and beach. So they'll be going to Spain and a lot of other countries that are now in the summer. They'll definitely not be looking to come anywhere where it's going to be winter for them. And when you, again, I just want to speak to South Africa. It's a long haul destination. Anything over 6 hours for a lot of people is a long haul. If you're traveling from Germany, it's 12 hours to get to South Africa. If you're traveling from the US, sometimes it can be between 1 hour. So again, the other thing that becomes a factor is if you also still need to connect to different flights, it becomes an issue for travelers. It's much more easier if sometimes then you are just in one flight directly to the destination that you're going into. So definitely where you find that there is long haul travel, those numbers will definitely go higher and recover a bit faster than when you're looking at recovery from a long haul. Again, I did mention that because we don't have open skies, we have friendly skies, that does become a huge issue. If I needed to choose to go to perhaps Dubai, which is becoming very popular, there's a lot of options to travel to Dubai as opposed to then options to travel to some parts of Africa, just because there isn't as many availability of airlines. And the cost of the tickets are also quite high, just because of the fact that there isn't as many airlines that are available.
Okay. That's super interesting. And in terms of like, so obviously when we all hit COVID, there was a big push for localized travel, and that's pretty much what kept the industry alive. Is there any sort of positive impact on the tourism industry for local tourism and the local tourist and the volume of tourism that it's created against that international tourism? Like, so where I'm getting at this is that, are we going to see a bigger tourism industry in a shorter space of time because there's more domestic travel taking place for leisure, for tourism? Or is that going to just, do you sort of foresee that returning back to its norm?
Right. So the interesting thing that happened was that there was travel bubbles that happened, and a lot of countries were also being banned. But people still wanted to travel. There was an itch for travel. Then people started traveling a lot more in their countries. So part of a lot of countries or a lot of DMOs' recovery strategy was that they needed to then invest first in domestic travel and then secondly in regional travel, because those were going to help stabilize the numbers before then they could look elsewhere. So we have seen that where domestic travel actually did go up because people could start traveling in their country even though they couldn't travel to other countries. So that has done quite well. Even in the earlier times of coming out of the very restricted times around travel during COVID.
Do you think it's something that will sustain? So do you think that localized travel is going to be a continuous thing for us from a volume perspective? Or do you think that's going to wane as international travel starts to pick back up again?
So domestic travel is definitely going to continue. It's not only even the trend in South Africa, it's a trend in other countries where people will travel. So people travel maybe 3 or twice in a year in their country, and then they'll do at least one long haul travel or one international travel. So that will still definitely continue. And because there has been a lot of campaigns that have been speaking to traveling your own country, that is one of the things that also just is motivating people to travel. I think one of the campaigns that was there was trying to save some of the business. And because the nature of South Africans and how they are, then people started traveling and people started going to restaurants and etc. to ensure that they're helping ensure that people's businesses are staying afloat and they're not being affected by COVID. So because of that culture that was also reinforced during COVID, that has also just continued on onto the recent years as well.
That's fascinating. Morongwa, thank you so much for your time and for putting this presentation together. We know that you have to head off into some other things, so we're going to let you do that, and we'll carry on with Vincenzo. But thanks so much for the information. We'll share your presentation with those that attend, and yeah, we'll be in touch online. And thank you so much for taking the time out, and thanks also to SA Tourism for lending us your time for this as well. Excellent presentation. Thank you for that information. It's really fantastic to see the depth in which you've gone into this. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Keep well. Cheers. So Vincenzo, that's quite a base to sort of come off of. And I know that I think it was last year I did some research around last year and the year before, but more from a search perspective in terms of like search volumes and the impact of search volumes on Google, and where we were foreseeing kind of the impacts of the future of travel based on what people were searching in that. And it's fascinating to see how the two are like how you can almost start to map trends off these engines. It's not, I wouldn't call it an exact science, but it is fascinating to see how what people search online becomes a fairly decent representation of the hard data that we've just seen in Morongwa's presentation. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Mike. Yeah, just quickly, I want to introduce myself. You already introduced me, but just
definitely,
just to remind, I'm Vincenzo Cascone, and I'm an account manager at Google, and I've been working in the company for the past 3 years, and I'm an account manager in the travel department. So yeah, basically today can you all see my screen, right?
We can,
so you
yes.
can see the presentation. You can bring that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Basically, today I'm gonna drive to the product, counterpart of the travel, and especially about one of the latest updates that Google has into the travel industry, and especially also into the AI industry. So today I'm gonna present one of the latest update, which is Performance Max for Travel Goals. Basically, Performance Max for Travel Goals. Uh, it is one of the newest Google product for the travel industry, alongside with other products that we've been launched previously, which are hotel ads and the property promotion ads. But why Google has decided, of course, in the past years to invest into this kind of product specifically for travel, because users in general, clients, whoever, whenever they're planning, of course, any trip, any flight, any itinerary, of course they're going through Google to do their search mostly. And Google has thought that by creating this kind of product, they would have given the possibility to hotels, OTA, any travel business to be found, of course, by their clients. Performance Math for Travel Goal, it is basically an upgrade of a previous product that Google has launched, which is Performance Max. And for those who doesn't know what Performance Max it is an AI-based multi-channel kind of campaign. What do we mean with this? So basically, Performance Max also, just to give a little bit of context, what we saw in terms of adoption of Performance Max from our client, we've seen that compared to any standard campaign, so for example, search, brand of display, with the same cost per acquisition, there has been an additional incremental revenue of 18%, specifically for direct conversion. So basically, what does it mean that Performance Max is an AI-based product and a multi-channel product? So basically, Performance Max, it is a product that with one simple setup, so only with the creation on one simple campaign, allows the advertiser, in this case, to be displayed, to be advertising on a different gamma, a different variety of Google products, starting from the maps, display, discover, YouTube search, Gmail, and the latest addition, which makes this product really specific for the travel industry, is the addition of the channel of hotel ads. Hotel ads, it is a product that's been launched in the past year, and I'm gonna leave a slide at the end to talk about hotel ads more in the specific. But yeah, definitely the most remarkable addition of this Performance Map for Travel Goal has been the addition, of course, of the hotel channel. What are the benefits of this product? So basically, the benefits of this product are to drive direct bookings. So basically, one of the most important goals of any business into the travel industry, and specifically talking about hotels, because this product is well designed for hotels, is to receive direct bookings. So basically, the main objective, the main goal for this kind of campaign, it is the direct purchase and the direct conversion through the website of the advertiser, diversifying the approach of the acquisition of the client. So basically, as I was showing in the previous slide, this product allows to be advertised on different channels, which diversify a little bit the approach towards the client, diversify the acquisition, creates more opportunity to connect with your guests, because the main goal, we said, it is the acquisition, it is the direct booking, but after all, you can manage all the relationship and the engagement with the client. So with remarketing, retargeting, sending loyal prices, sending, I don't know, newsletters, so doing all the post acquisition part of the marketing. And specifically, we usually say that this kind of products like hotel ads, Performance Max for Travel, they help clients, they help hotels to do a little bit of this intermediation. So basically doing not only direct bookings, ROAS, but also acquisition of new clients. And the last key benefit that I want to mention is that you're still in control of the campaign, even if it's an AI-based campaign, but with less work. Because basically, the only thing that you have to do in creating this campaign is the creation of the campaign. The key feature, it's easy to set up, and of course it is also easy to scale it, because they will help you, of course, to be displayed into different channels, to be displayed to a different varieties of inventory, because we are not talking only about added channels, but we're also talking about added inventory. And the most important inventory in this kind of products is what we call the hotel inventory, which is basically allowing you to target specific users that are actually looking for hotel brand search and hotel queries on the Google search. And the most important thing is that you are in control of this campaign, and this campaign is fully AI based, which is basically the most powerful thing that this product has to offer. Basically, the main difference with the general performance max that I was mentioning are the fact that you have a more added reach by using the hotel inventory, which I just mentioned. And now, another important thing is that in the process of the creation, the system will use the AI also to pre-populate all the content, all the writing, all the images, and all the copy in general. So basically, the most important things to be participating into this kind of campaign is to have all the information in order into the Google digital world. So basically, in the Google directories, and basically having a Google business profile, having a website, having a URL connected to your Google business profile. So you need to have a strong digital presence to be participating into this product. And the most significant difference is the goal, because basically performance math for travel goal, it is allowing you to optimize only towards the conversion. So making you, of course, the return on the investment, the maximize of the conversion, the main goal of this kind of campaign. And that is all the part of the property specific reporting, and also some additional feature that might be added into this campaign, like the audience recommendation, which are all used based on the AI, which would be suggested and pushed out from the algorithm managing the campaign. So just to recap a little bit this product, so it's an easy setup. Usually takes up to 20 minutes to create a campaign. The most important thing is the fact you will be displaying on different inventory, which are technical 7. And the only limitation at the moment is for big size group. So basically, at the moment, I'm gonna run you through the roadmap of the product in the next slides, but just to mention that at the moment the only limitation of the properties could be added to one single campaign. So the only workaround that you can do in this case is to create different campaigns. And the learning period, since it's serving across different inventories and channels, since it's an AI-based product, is a little bit longer compared to a normal standard Google campaign. So we can say it takes up to 6 weeks. But then the more information, the more input that the AI can get from audience signal, audience recommendation, from the participation on the market, local inventories, the faster it is, of course, for the AI to be learning and to be steering the optimization. So basically, what we said, that the easy setup of the product is one of the key features. So it gathers the information from you. So once you have all the information in place on the website, as I was mentioning, you are into the Google local directories. You have a Google business profile. You have a website linked to it, and you have, of course, Google license image library. Basically, with one single setup, the system will be able to pull all this information. Once it has pulled all this information, you still have the possibility to change. So basically, you still be in control of the campaign by modifying and editing the part related to the asset. The system might be suggesting you how much is the OptiScore, what you can improve in terms of image, copy, videos, and whatsoever, and you will be still able, to modify, because you will be still able to be in control of over the AI in this case. And then once you launch the campaign, the AI will be the one creating this ad, creating it for all the channels. So basically going to display it all over the 7 different channels. And also there'll be the possibility to preview it. So the system is showing you a preview of the ads, how the ads will be looking like across different channels. And before you launch the campaign, you will still have the possibility to edit if you don't like, of course, how it is previewing the product. And then there's also the part of managing the day-to-day campaign. So basically, once you have launched, once you have defined the copy, once you have seen the previewing, and then every day you just need to input what's the bid strategy and the budget, and then it's going to be the AI managing the campaign every day, serving across different channels, moving the budget where they see more possibility to be winning the auction, to be converting. So basically, the part that you need to take care of the most is then the part related to the reporting. which will be the most important in terms of then optimizing the campaign. And the system is also for groups offering the possibility to do different reporting by different property, so by different what we call asset groups. So you can see where the investment has been going mostly, what you can do, of course, in terms of improving the campaign and so on and so on. So in terms of product roadmap, we said that this is probably the latest update of the Google product gamma in terms of travel, in terms of AI. But we come a long way from starting of being a beta version, which was actually in October, November 2022, to be a fully launched product in December 2023. So basically, we have been adding all the things that I've been mentioning, like the inciting and reporting, the expanded reach, the pre-populated ASIC groups, the property-specific reporting, the pre-populated audience signal. And we're going towards fixing the last few things for this product, which are basically, of course, the limitation up to 100 properties that I was mentioning, and the expansion also to other kind of travel advertiser, because at the moment, this product is well designed for hotel suppliers, but it will be expanding also for OTAs, for example. So we're launching at the moment a beta version also for OTAs. And yeah, one of the most interesting things to add additional information to this, it was that I mentioned that Performance Max has included Performance Max for Travel, the Hotel Ads channel. So basically, the Hotel Ads is what we call the kind of a meta search version of Google. So where actually the advertiser will be able to display the rates and their availabilities on the Google search, especially on the Google search and also with a pin on the Google Maps. Hotel Ads, it is basically divided into two parts: the hotel booking link and what we call the property promotion ads. So basically, the hotel booking link is what we call the part very closer to the meta search version. So basically, the hotel booking link and the hotel ads in general are low funnel kind of product, because they need a several steps to be triggered. They have a higher conversion because of the more awareness of the user once it reach to the ad. And basically, where is this product going to show on the search? So basically, once, for example, a customer has typed in, I don't know, a brand search query or a generic destination query, that's the moment where the product will be start triggering. So basically, immediately into the search engine result page, there will be an organic part divided by feed and the map, where there are a lot of properties that might be displayed. So once the user is on the search page and will be clicking onto expanding these columns, they will be redirected in what we call the hotel display page, or more specifically, we call it the hotel immersive, where there are all the properties that are actually advertising for hotel ads. So basically, it's where actually your property would be found when the user decides, of course, to click on it. And then here the user might have the possibility of, I don't know, adding filters, amenities, reviews, prices, and so on and so on. And then the last step is when, of course, once clicked on the desired property, the user will be redirected into the hotel result deeper dives, which is basically where the hotel ads it is showing. And the hotel ads will be showing the booking link under the Google Business Profile, which is always one of the key mandatory things that you might need to have to be advertising either in Performance Max for Travel and either into the Hotel Ads standalone product. So basically, we call it the meta search version, because as you can see from this last screenshot here, there are a list of advertisers, which could be your direct website with a link to it, and some other provider, which most likely are the partners, so basically the OTAs and other meta search, which are advertising for the same website, for the same hotel, but for a different website, for their website. So the most important thing is to be in control of this campaign with the budget, the bid, and also the OptiScore, to be positioned as the first and to get direct bookings, which means not only return on investment for a property, for a hotel, but also disintermediation, as I was mentioning, so doing direct engagement to the clients. And the other version, this is going to be my final slide, is what we call the property promotion ads, which is triggering hotel booking.
Sorry, guys. Looks like we looks like it's back.
Okay, yeah, okay, sorry. I don't know why I got a little bit disconnected. Probably
No worries.
my connection. So just to reshare my screen, this is gonna be my last slide. So for anything related to integration, because these are products that might require a little bit of consultation, a little bit of advice, a little bit of also a part of connectivity integration, especially regarding hotel ads. Of course, you might refer to Mike, and Mike, of course, will be the best advice, of course, on the strategy to adopt for this kind of products.
Vincenzo, thanks for that. This I think for a lot of people, like, to understand that this product is essentially one of Google's AI answers into the advertising space for the travel industry. PMax is a product across all industries that it's been using for quite some time now, but this introduction of hotel search into that product and the application directly into travel specifically is quite mind-blowing. I know that, like, we've launched this with 1 or 2 clients ourselves, and when we hit go, it's quite mind-blowing, the volume of leads that suddenly get generated through this channel. And I think a large portion of it has to do with the fact that once you kind of put your business behind that veil of Google's sort of AI engine, what it's really doing at the end of the day is understanding the customer on a granular level, and where they, like, almost the nature of their journey. So when they're at discovery, if that person likes to do maps or wants to do YouTube or wants to do whatever channel they like to discover on, is where Google's going to make sure they find your discovery. Wherever that particular user likes to be able to do the final closure of that deal, that's where they're going to find them, whether that's in search on a click-through ad or whether it's in hotel search, etc. And so what it's really doing is what we all wish we could do, which is treat mass volumes of people in an individualistic manner. And only Google can do that because of the volume of data that it's sitting with in the AI engine that it has. And so it's a really powerful product when you think of it in that respect. I think one of the key things which has become quite clear, and this is across all Google ads, not just with PMax for travel, but like understanding the GA4 signatures and how the conversion rates and events are all set up correctly has a huge impact on whether or not this AI engine can actually deliver on what you're doing. Because we've seen a lot of campaigns that are really well set up on the ad infrastructure, but then when the GA4 infrastructure is not set up correctly, the whole thing falls apart. And so you've got to, there's this understanding of the ecosystem that you've got to kind of build out. And so, yeah, this is really, really fascinating. There are no questions at the moment in the chat system, so I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up.
No, I think it's all for me. So yeah, thank you for letting me speak and presenting this product. So there's a whole word behind. So yeah, I try to touch base just the most relevant part, just to keep it like more general. But there's a lot to see, as you were saying, in terms of potentiality, in terms of course volume of this product, and what you can do in terms of the optimization. So something coming after the implementation of the product, which is really interesting.
Yeah, no, it really is. There's a lot of opportunity once you're in. And so just to close up and to give some people some direction on this, where we this whole concept of how to leverage AI in the Google travel space can be quite foreign to many. And so we have put this sort of what I hope is more of a 101 guide to utilizing some of the ad engines that are available in the hotel and travel industry, just to kind of get your head around what's taking place in the different products. And we introduced PMax and one or two other products in there, just to really understand how Google is approaching this industry in that respect. So you can download that at the link, and Tash will drop that link up into the chat now as well. But what we really want to kind of share with you is that in order to really make the most of this, is that what you need is you need a booking engine, your booking engine pipeline coming in from Google and plugged into the back of your AdWords engine. Now, that has been a massive barrier to entry for the majority of the hotel industry. And it's one of the reasons why you've really struggled to compete against bigger hotels or OTAs, etc. And so what put on the table is that we can now bring this pipeline to that your your booking engine into your Google Ads engine for you, so that you can make use of PMax for travel and many of the other AI agendas that are in the future of Google Travel advertising going forward. So if you'd like to chat more about that, please just touch base with us, and we'll be able to kind of vet your business and see if you qualify the hotel industry and the travel industry worldwide. So yeah, touch base. Otherwise, we hope you've enjoyed the webinar itself. It's been really great to have Morongwa from SA Tourism sharing some of the data. Vincenzo, thanks very, very much for your time. We know how precious that is as well, for taking that out. And we know that Google is a crazy place, and we also really thank you for the time that you put into this, into our partnership as well, and really helping to bring this product to more and more hotels and travel industry people. So thanks very much for everything. And on that note, we'll close out just after just over an hour's worth of time. So thank you very much. If you do want to touch base, there's the link. And one last note about the survey, if you'd like to take it. Otherwise, have a great Tuesday. Have a great rest of the week, and we will chat soon. Cheers.